Okay. So let me share my screen. Okay, so let me tell you. Let me try to run this again. So, for example, um, this is a base JSON that for the input. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to run hw5 parse. Do I have that? Yes, I do have that. And I do base update, and I save this to BBB. I call it parse. Okay, this is a BBB parse. It's just a file. Let's look at what BBB parse is. It's basically parsing using to style string. So generate this nicely style format for the JSON. Okay, so I'm going to do the other one is hw5produce, which is taking out that JSON, put that into the C++ classes I produce, and then actually using dumpj to produce a JSON. So I'm going to use hw5produce. And I also take the input base input, which is go to base input. I will call it BBB produce. Okay, so I now have a two file. If you take a look at BBB produce, it's also a styled format from the JSON that using dumpj to create it. And if your program did this correctly, if you use diff between BBB parse, sorry, it doesn't matter. The order doesn't matter. BBB produce. Then if there is nothing, they're the same, then you didn't see anything when you do the program diff. So let me make a change. For example, if I do BBB produce, if I actually just remove something, let's say I remove this one. I remove this few lines. Okay, and of course I should change this to 1. Okay, I change this to 1, and then I basically do a diff. Now you see that it's actually see the difference, use a diff program, because I just removed this, this part, and I actually changed the 2 to 1. So it actually do the diff, realize that he's saying, so this sign is this direction means that bbb.parse have this part, and bbb.parse has this one, and bbb.produce have this one. So you use the diff tool, you will be able to see whether your result is correct or not compared to that. That's why you use BBB hw5 parse for you to generate the style format, style string format, and then use BBB produce to actually do the parsing, pigeonholing, and reproducing. And if your things are exactly the same, then you're successful. Okay. Any question for this one? Let me actually check my chat. I hope that took care of Emily's question. Also, I think Manuel, thank you for helping. We do use both. Cesar, you're right. Thomas, I have lots of questions about Post. Okay, I will talk about Thomas. I will talk about the Post.cpp and also the hw5. Let me go through. Cesar, you said we compare the JSON created from the parse from the one created by the. Yes, that's right. I think something is wrong with the small program is running indefinitely when I ask you Really? Okay, Alexandra, I have to check on that. Okay, I'll check on that. You're saying that it seems to be the program is having some infinite loop. I will check on that. Okay, I need to Ihan. This is the same issue. Try to doing small programs is helpful. By the way, Thomas and others, I actually count how many people has been doing the homework program. It's about 100 people, but there's other people who hasn't started. I will encourage you to start it. There's no deadline, but you need to do that at the end of this quarter, which we didn't have a lot of time. It is basically help us to uh, get familiar with a small concept that we talk about. You have a small program which help you to um, um, do some exercise. As example, is 20%, count 20% totally. Okay, Andrew, I'm going to talk about your question about the index. Let me share my screen again. Okay, so I'm actually going to run another program, which is, sorry, the same program, but I'm going to use a different JSON. I'm going to use update1 JSON. Okay, instead of base, I have another one, update1, update2. They all on our class server. Let's call it BBB produce again. Okay, again, let me make sure my program is doing correctly. So I'm going to do compare, do parse, and then hw5 parse. And then I do diff. Okay, they're the same. Okay, so now let's look at BBB produce. So if you look at BBB produce, it has a comment, has a count, ID. But it's interesting, you don't need to worry about this part. You see that I actually message, now I have a tag. This is a special tag, I put it there in the string. This basically say Peter, this name has been tagged as a tag number1. And this number1, number2 are the index. So if you look at the tag over here, this portion is tag. So in the tag class, the index is actually using this index. So when you parse the tag, under tag is an array of a pointer with this tag. So each of the tag has an index, and then you have this one has 3 variable, has an avatar name index, but doesn't have the comment. But they both have an index. So this one is index for Peter, which is correspond to the head number1. And this one is actually related to the other comment, which is index number2. So this is the index I was talking about, okay, for this. This is mostly related to homework assignment number2 when you try to merge these two together. Okay, let me stop sharing to see my next comment. By the way, before I move on, any question?
Professor?
Sure, yeah, go
So
ahead,
for
Parker.
the part one, we don't need the tags, right? Part one.
Yes, you don't need a tag. Yeah, that's fine. When I grade part one, I mean, I could have grade part one with both all 3 JSON individually, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay if you only do base JSON correctly. I think that's fine. But for part 2, you would definitely need the tag.
Yeah, since I didn't find the tag for the base JSON.
Yeah, you don't have a tag for the base JSON
Yeah,
base,
so
but
I don't know how
the
to
homework 2, you
like.
need to add the tag. I mean, to be honest with you, that adding the tag to the original structure is very minor part of the work because you can
Yeah,
just
yeah,
copy things from the other similar
yeah.
structure. Okay,
Got it. Thank
hold
you.
on. Let me check the question where I am. I was answer Andrew's question here. Jason Wu's question is: do we have to handle the message as an object? That's an option. Okay, you can handle message as an object or you just use the message as a string. I leave that to you, Jason. You can decide. Alex, yep, not time consuming. You just run. It takes like 3 minutes. Okay, that's a comment. Don't save it for the end of the quarter. You okay? All right. Get the program output run. Okay, I'll definitely. I think there was something. I tried to fix the server this morning. I might have causing another problem. On top of the file that you gave us, what additional file should we make for homework 5? Nathaniel, it's your choice. The file I gave you are all the .h file. So what I have, I can show you on my screen right now. Just to let you know, this is just a reference implementation, means that it's just my code, but you can add a few file more or reduce or actually missing a few file, as long as you can pigeonholing the JSON information into the C++ class, and then you can actually reproduce the JSON. Then basically you're okay. So just example, let me do a make clean. If I do ls star dot hc star, which is all my h file and cpp file, you can see that I already gave you all the .h file, and I gave you some cpp file. I believe I gave you jvtime.cpp. I think I gave you reaction cpp, and I probably give a skeleton reductive version of hw5 produce.cpp. So, I mean, which means that you have to provide your own action CPP. If you want to follow my.h, but you don't have to, just emphasize that. You need to provide your own action CPP. You need to have your own comment CPP, which is, I think comment CPP might be the one of the more extended one, the comment CPP and post CPP. Core CPP should be very simple. This is, I probably took this from homework 2 or homework 3. And link CPP should be very simple. Person CPP should be almost the same as homework 3. Post.cpp will be probably the most important one because you glue everything together. And the reaction CPP is I mean, it's probably third one or fourth one in terms of the complication. Text CPP should be really simple. Of course, you already have homework 5 CPP, par CPP, and I gave you par CPP. Those are for your part 1. And part 2, what I have is a homework 5 merge CPP. Okay, so that's kind of the file you want to create. I do want to mention something here. When I say post.cpp or reaction.cpp or comment.cpp, I think they're more needs more work. I really means their dump-j is more complicated. I mean, the class design, otherwise it should be very simple. I mean, the dump-j for post-cpp. Let me do a wc star.cpp. wc is a tool to tell you how many lines of code you will have. So this is my lines of code that what I have. You can see that the first column is a lines of code. So action CPP has 25 lines of code. Comment is only have 73. That's actually a surprise to me. Post is 140 lines of code. And reaction is only, wow, it's only 22 lines of code. It's not that complicated. Okay, just let you know that's how many lines of code. Of course, that hw5produce.cpp is a lot. It's like a 253 lines of code. Okay. Okay, I do want to say that don't be scared by this merge CPP has 513 lines of code, almost double. It's not double. It's just I actually do a hacking, so I copy the same code twice. So this code can be easily shrink to, I think, easily shrink to less than 300 lines of code for hw5 merge. Okay, just let you know that. Okay, so let me continue to see the comment. Okay. Nathaniel, does that answer your question? Did that answer your question? Yeah, Alexandria. Okay, I don't know the status. Is John here to answer this question about when will they see the grade for the first two homework at least? Do we have some idea? Any of the TA here? Okay, I will follow up with TA. I'm sorry that has been delayed. I really want to push you to get the first three homework grade back to you as soon as possible. Sorry about that. To everybody. Yes, 1206. I have actually modified that, so that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, I'm going to go through hw5 produce JSON file we did with part one, update two. Yeah, that should be fine. Oh, you didn't have hw5 produce redacted? Let me check. Hold on 1 second. Let me see if I have it here. Okay, I'm sorry, I haven't give you the redacted. I'm going to do that right now, okay? Um,
Oh,
okay.
Professor, I don't think we have merge homework by merge neither.
No, merge is I'm not, merge, I cannot give it to you. Merge is you have to develop yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can decide what you want to do with that merge, okay? But here's the code, okay? For redacted is under here, under, let me just put in this directory. Yeah, that's the file to do that, okay? Yes, you can use the person.cpp from homework 3 for Nathaniel. The only difference is that I implement the dumpj for person as well, because homework assignment number 3 we don't have dumpj. Yes, pretty much for Jenny Wang and I think almost all the CPP file that I have a dumpj. Let me actually just check very quickly. So you can see that I have, except those hw5, like a parse produce, I don't have dumpj, but I can show it to you. Grep dumpj star.cpp. Okay, you can see that. To show you this. By the way, I haven't shared my screen. Sorry. Okay, I hope you can see this. So what I just did, I did a grep dumpj from all the CPP file. So you can see that for action.cpp, I have a dumpj, and for comment.cpp, I also have a dumpj. But also because comment will call a bunch of other things, so dumpj actually called the person's dumpj. It called reactions dumpj. It calls text dumpj as well. And link.cpp, I have a dumpj. Person.cpp, this is what I want to answer question, Nathaniel, is that I add the dump J to person object. And I will show you that piece of code because that piece of code is really small, so you can see that there's no problem. The most complicated thing is I do have inside the Post.cpp, I do have a dump J, excuse me. But because this is the highest level object, it basically call almost everything dump J. So in the post dump J, it call actions dump J, it call comments dump J, it call links dump J, it call reaction, it calls author, it calls receiver. You can see that it calls a lot of other people's dump J. And of course, the reaction has the reactions dump J, but it also call person's dump J because reaction has a person. So person's dump J is used a lot, but itself is very simple. And tag, I have a dump J, and then these three are just you can see that my hw5produce, I actually just call my post dump J, which is the highest level to post, which recursively call the rest of them, and then they gather things together. As I promised earlier, I will show you a bit of person.cpp so you can see how I developed the dump J. So the rest are the same, but let me see, Control S dump J. Okay, here's my code for dump J. I also include this code in, oh, by the way, I include this code in the PowerPoint, if you still remember that this is piece of code. That's actually in the PowerPoint for lecture number 10. It's a function that's return a pointer to the JSON column value objects. And inside here, I just put two variable, which is avatar name and VSID. And just remind you that you can actually do this debugging line to include this because every dump J, I provide a debugging line there just for my benefit. So what I can do is that I change my compiler flag, make file, and if I change this to use this line, the CF flag was minus capital D means define of underscore this definition string, then this piece of code, ECF36B debug, will be included, and it will print the individual dump J's output, which means that it will mess up your output, but it will actually help you to verify, help you to debug where you are in the code, okay? Okay, let me check. Okay. So Parker, the JSON that contain the tag is update 1. Is update 1. Update 1 JSON is actually here. You see that there's update 0.1, update 0.2, and base JSON. This is the JSON over here, and update 1 has that. So you can actually do this. You can go to update 0.1, which is pretty messy, but there is a tag here. It has a tag here, but you can also use hw5 parse to generate, which is my favorite because I use hw5 parse a lot, to be honest, to give me a nice, okay, I have to make because I make a clean. So this actually give me a nice output for the update 1. And you can see update 1 has this session is about tag. This session is about tag for the comments. Okay, so that's where we have update 1. Okay.
So we should to generate the updated one or the base JSON.
Well, when I test my own program, to me, my program should be able to handle any JSON. Means base JSON, update 1, update 2. I use the same program. I can handle all 3 of them. And for your program, I mentioned I know that tag is only appear in that JSON. So if you didn't implement the JSON, I mean, I will test your homework assignment number 1, part 1. Sorry, homework assignment number 5, part 1, just using the base JSON. If you can get that done, I think I'm happy. Okay, but
Okay.
I said that to make your program to be generic to handle all 3 JSON shouldn't
Yeah,
be.
it's not hard. Yeah.
You can
We
handle.
just need to
Right. But
implement
homework
that.
2, you must deal with tag. Because homework 2 is essentially merging
You mean part 2?
new comment or new tag into the base JSON. So you think about this. There are 2 things I should tell you that what I'm thinking. You're writing a Facebook post, but somehow the internet was disconnected between, say, the Asia and the US, because, say, internet fiber was temporarily disconnected. So all the people on the other side of Pacific Ocean, they still make a comment on the post, but will not be seen by the people who are actually talking about these things on, say, California. So when the internet was reconnected, then I like to put this 2 posts. It's the same post, but have a different group of discussion. I would like to merge them together. That's why hw5 merge is doing. Okay.
Yeah, I see. Thank you.
Okay. So I do want to say something, which is I never explained to all of you. Let me actually go through the question. I will come back. Which JSON file? Okay, Parker, I answer your question. Luis. I think, Luis, your question. Let me do a share screen very quickly. That line of code, it should be in hw5 produce. That should be in hw5 produce. Let me actually tell you why is that. Okay, so this is hw5 produce. It has a different session. Okay, you can see that I kind of redacted a little bit. So this is like the code you're talking about, right? Going through the array. My action. Oh, wait a minute. I did something. I make a mistake. I forgot to delete certain thing on the code. Yeah, that's fine. I already put it. That's fine. I probably leave something more than I should. But this piece of code, I do not intended to leave it there, but then I'm gonna leave it there. Okay. So this is my code for link message. You can see that I'm just going through the array. This is a typical JSON C++ programming that I'm using the count and data to create the link object and then to push back to the vector, and eventually I put it under my post. Okay. Wow, reaction. I keep the reaction code there because I already have on the slide. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Okay. Any question?
I have a question. What's the difference between the post and produce?
Post is a class. Post is a class. So for example, produce is not a class. Produce is just a program to handling the information. Post is one of the class. Let me actually show you my slide. So if you think about this, this is a post. A post is a particular content you share on the social media platforms such as Facebook, and allow people to make comments and people can provide reaction. So a post contain a lot of things, contain the post itself and also contain people's reaction to that. In my reference implementation, I have a post that's sharing the source code, looks like this. You know? Yeah, this is the post. A post is a class. It has what's the profile ID, have an identification, for profile ID, post ID, has an author who actually wrote it and who is the receiver of this post. It has a message, it has a vector of links, action, reaction, and comments. And also have a timestamp about when it was created, when it was updated. It also has a Boolean variable to say whether it's published or not. And that's the content. A post is an object representing a collection of information related to a piece of content. This content could be a video, could be a news article, that's a post. And hw5produce is just a program to handling variety of objects, including post. It's taking the input from a JSON string format, and it will shuffle this into class post and a bunch of other objects, and then from this object reproduce the JSON. So does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple questions about dumpj when it comes to post.cpp. I'm trying to dump my person object through dumpj in post.cpp, but when I do it through that method, I get null. But when I do it like in my homework5.cpp and do like get to the object through my post object and then do dumpj there, it works fine. If that makes sense.
Interesting. Say it again. You say you do. Okay.
So on my homework 5, I have like an object called my post, right? And that
Right.
has like the whole post or whatever, or
Right.
the whole JSON. And
Right.
if I in that post get to my person object, like my author, like my post dot author or whatever, and then I do dumpj on that, it works fine. Like I can produce like just a small Johnson on just the author. But when I run dumpj on my post, it says null when I get to the part with the author. I can get other things to work like the ID and stuff, but the rest of it.
Okay, that seems to me you're doing fine. It's just maybe you didn't, for example, insert. It sounds to me if your individually is okay, but you couldn't get it out from the post dumpj. That sounds like you might forget to insert the right format into your JSON value object. So I think that should be. It sounds like you're very close. Let me tell you. I'm gonna unshare my screen. Am I sharing my screen now?
No.
I'm not. Okay, good. Because I want to just pick a little bit from my. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Is this Thomas?
Yeah.
Okay, Thomas, I'm going to share with you this few lines of code. Just give you a hint and also other people about what I'm doing. This is piece of code. It was in my dump J under post.cpp related to the from. So what I did is, of course, I check whether the author is null or not, whether that is a valid pointer. If it's pointer, I actually call the dumpj PTR. Dumpj PTR is a pointer to JSON value. And I call this author, which will be give me a person object pointer, right? And then point to dumpj. So I'm actually getting the dumpj PTR. And then what I do is that I have to do this result pointer from is equal to this dumpj, like this way. And then after that, after I put, because this will make a copy of this when I use the JSON CPP library. And I just delete this and to save memory. Is this
For some
similar
reason,
to what
my
you're doing?
author is null.
What?
For some reason, my author is null.
Okay, that's interesting, right? So that is
Yeah.
an issue. So why will you have a null? But you said this author is null. Then can you still run dumpj on that author?
Yeah.
How
That's the
can
weird
that be,
part.
right? If it's a
Right?
null,
Yeah.
if it's null, how can they be? How can you actually even have an object? Because null means that it's not pointing to a valid person object, right?
Right. For some reason, it just went.
So
I
look
had
at it
it.
might be the pointer operation. You're missing something there. It just thought it's null, but it's not.
Okay. Thank you.
Check on that, okay? And
Yeah.
you can use today's video to compare this piece of code with yours, okay?
Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay. So you think it should name JSON, not JSON? Okay, all right. That might be good. Okay. Yeah, I heard people to say both way actually. So I don't know which one is correct. Yeah. Okay, I think I answered all the question on the chat, except I like to go over post.cpp and as well as the hw5produce.cpp. Okay, so maybe let me go over post.cpp first, and then I will see if you have any question. Okay, I'm not sharing my screen, which is good because I'm going to create a real redacted version of. Wait a minute, am I sharing my screen? No, I'm not, right? Why is letting me do this? Just want to double check. Okay, I'm going to redact it this way. 1 second.
I got the author to print, but then I realized I was getting the author to print before I fed it into the constructor for my post. So it looks like my constructor for post.cpp is off. Do you have any advice as far as that goes? It looks like it takes 2 pointers, a person pointer and a message pointer.
Right.
I
So
fed that into it.
so that might be the problem when you try to do the pigeonholing, right? So you should make sure your post object was created at the very beginning before you do any kind of JSON parsing. You make sure it's already there. And then what you
Right.
did is that when you get that author from the from field, and then you actually assign that pointer to the author. And make sure the other thing which could happen is that the scoping, I mean, where do you define the person object? Whether you're using malloc, or sorry, using new, or you're using just local variable. If you're using local variable, you probably know once you get off the current scope is gone. So check on that whether the variable is in the right scope. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Just hold on, I'm trying to remove the information from my redacted version so I can show it to you what I have here. I have it just I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I think you can all see me, my screen. So I'm actually going to show you, this is a redacted version of Post.cpp. Okay, so of course, this is Post.cpp has Post.h, and the first part, this is just a constructor from homework assignment number 3, no problem. Oh, wait a minute, Post is not homework assignment number 3. This is just constructor, very simple, so I leave it here, that's okay. Okay, but the major part is the dump J. So the dump J is essentially dumping from this 11 area that the post should have, 11 or 10 area that you have. So that's why I have action, I have a comments, I have a link, I have a message, I have the reaction, as I actually discussed this on the slide election, and then I have ID and from and to. So essentially, my dump J has a lot of this field. Created time, update time is published. So I go one by one. What I did at the end is pushing the value into this result PTR. You see that? The result is pushing everything into the result PTR. And then I return as a result PTR. And what is a result PTR? Just show you again, it's a JSON value. So basically, I define, the first part is I define a pointer to the JSON value called result PTR. And this is a new, I basically use a new, I allocate memory, initialize for JSON value. And inside here, I just go section by section and put the related information, put it back, extract this object from the outside. And the typical way to do this is always check whether that variable is null or not. Because, for example, if a JSON doesn't have action, then I'm not going to put anything in there. For example, the update JSON, those two, they're missing some information. They don't have all the elements. And for even the base JSON, for example, it doesn't have tag. So that's kind of a section by section you're doing this. So it will be similar to this, but I'm showing you the reaction. How do I do the reaction? So I'm going through the reaction part as an example. So first, I said the reaction is basically whether the reaction is there. You have to check because maybe there is a post without reaction, or this JSON is an update JSON. It doesn't have the new reactions to update. So you have to check whether it's null or not. So this is, remember, this is dump J. It's not pigeonholing. This is already, pigeonholing is done. Pigeonholing is putting the information from the original JSON into the C++ object. So now we're actually go the other direction. To look at C++ object, we try to look at the JSON. So if the, okay, now we're looking into this. If the reaction is not null, so here is what I want to remind you, that the reaction is an array. So let's actually take a look what the reaction is.
Professor?
Go ahead, please. I heard, Andrew,
On
you have a
comment,
question?
yeah, on comment CPP, I noticed that you would get the size of reaction if it was greater than 0, then it would do the for
Yes.
loop. But here we're doing the null. Is there a reason for that?
No, I will show you. You need both.
Oh,
You
okay.
need both. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at reaction. So what is a reaction? Reaction is a pointer. Is a pointer to a vector of pointer to reaction. So I actually drew a slide yesterday during the office hour, which I think is going to be very helpful. By the way, I uploaded the slide already. So this is a reaction. So you see this line, std vector reaction. So it's very interesting that this is reaction itself. Reaction itself is a variable, but reaction type is a pointer to a vector or pointer. See, this inside this vector is reaction star. It's not reaction. So this line really is that I have a vector. I have a vector here. Inside the vector is a bunch of pointer, and they're indexed by 0, 1, 2, and they're pointing to reaction object. So in this particular figure, I have a 3 reaction object. Then I'm pointer pointing to. Okay. So Andrew, I want to tell you that the first I have to check whether it's the null. The null is just checking whether this pointer is null or not, whether you are actually pointing to a vector or not. And maybe you don't have any reaction, and then that pointer should be null. You don't have any reaction. But just in case you have a vector to the reaction array, which is array or pointer to reaction. And then this, we are going to see that loop to say, well, how many of them? The number could be 0, but could be 1, could be 2. In this case, it has 3 or 4. And that is helping us to iterate through the array. This, by the way, vector is just a wrapper around traditional C array, okay, with just a nicer interface using what we call standard template library of C++, okay. All right, I'm going to use the code to tell you more specifically what I'm going to talk about. So, so you see that we're dealing with this part. This part is reactions, is a pointer to a vector of reaction pointers, okay? So, okay, reactions is kind of confusing. I'm sorry about that. You have to watch this video again and again to finally get my pronunciation right. Okay, so this is just checking. The first slide, as I said, just checking whether that pointer, the whole pointer to the whole vector is null or not. If that's not null, then I know I have a vector. So now I can do this. You see I'm using size here. The size here is this reactions now is a vector. I know that's not null, it's a real vector. If it's a real vector, it has a size. Size means that how many elements you have in the array. So that's why I'm actually iterate through every single element you have. The size is 3, I'm going to iterate 3 times. Size is 300, I'm going to iterate 300. So I'm actually going through this loop. And I'm not going to talk about this inside the loop. I'm going to do that a little bit later, but I want to tell you the whole structure of this piece of code here. So after I done the loop, essentially what I did is I went through every single reaction in that vector. And then what I did is that I put the reaction, those concatenated reaction, those three, I put that into this variable called JSON reactions. So you see, I define JSON reactions, and I put that into the higher level called JSON reaction. So I have something called JSON reaction array and JSON reaction. Let me actually tell you what it is. Okay, what's the difference between JSON reaction and JSON reaction array? I think this sometime might be confusing you. I'm going to use this to show it to you because I happen to have an example here. Okay, so this one is what I call a reaction, right? This is a reaction example. I've been using this in the class. I only have one element, that's fine. So I'm going to insert a new slide to tell you what it is. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this part and get rid of this part. Make it a little bit smaller. Okay, now I can fit. Okay, so first I'm going to change everything to black. No, not this one. Change this to black. Okay, so everything is the whole thing. All right, so let me first tell you, I want to say the difference between these two. JSON reaction and JSON reaction array. Okay, I just realized I might have I might have a bad name. I probably should reverse it. Okay, this is the problem. I'm showing you a negative example about how to name things incorrectly in my code. I just realized that I probably shouldn't do that. But let me first tell you what is a JSON reaction array in my code. So the whole thing from, let me make a copy of this. Hold on one second. So JSON array is from here all the way to here. I don't like this. The whole thing okay. The whole thing is actually JSON reaction array. Okay, and what is JSON reactions? JSON reactions is each of this. This one, I have to use, sorry. How can I do this? Okay, I know, do this. This is each of the array element. This part. I mean, it's a little bit confusing because this one only have a one of them, have a one element in the array. But this one is JSON reaction. Wait a minute, cannot do this? Impress. Oh, that's wrong. That's why you cannot do this. Okay, here. Okay, you see the difference is that JSON reaction array is a higher level, including the data, because in JSON, that there is, especially in Facebook, is using this notation as array is data represent a point. So essentially, it has is two parameter. One is in the, this is at least in the social media system that we're dealing with, is essentially an array has two parameter. The first parameter is data. Data is actually really a pointer to the array itself. And then we have another one called count, which is just count the size of the array. Okay, that's the JSON notation. Why this one doesn't do like what I did earlier? Okay, yeah. So that's a typical way of JSON array representation. That's why I call the JSON reactions array. Is really array in the sense of of JSON convention. But reactions itself is each of the element, each of the array. No, sorry, is all the element that's in between this bracket, between this two bracket. Let me just make it. This is in between this element. They are the everything over here is what we call the JSON reaction. There's two variable. So what I did is that I basically first go through the loop. I collect everything between this pair of bracket and push them into this JSON reaction. And then after I done this, I basically now I have JSON reaction, which is basically between those two brackets. And then I basically assign that into the data in the array, because array is the whole JSON array structure. I push this into data and push the size as an integer into the count. And then I actually complete. So basically these two lines code that complete the picture from the green to the whole red. So once I put this into the red, now JSON reaction array really represent the whole red. Then what I did next is I actually finally put the result pointers reactions. Remember, this is now the reaction is a post. And then I put the whole thing there, and then I complete the picture of this one. Essentially, I put the red thing into this reaction, then I finish that section about my dumpj program. Okay, so it's a little bit abstract. You have to take a look at the data you're dealing with and see the definition I was using to do that. You don't have to follow exactly, but this gives you some idea about what kind of layer of processings you need to do. Okay. Comments? Question?
Professor, and we do that also for similar to like action and message and the ones on
Yes.
top of.
You will do that for action. That's why I say tags, action, links, they all follow the same structure.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. Okay, and then the ID, I just show you the code here. The ID is essentially put the post ID with underscore with profile ID underscore post ID. That's the way I represent. I mean, for this homework assignment, you don't even need to break it up depending on how. I mean, in my processing, I need to separate that because I want to compare the profile ID with some other ID. Especially, I need to know the ID when I do the merging, whether I'm merging the right things together. And from I already showed you earlier, right? When we talk about, I think I forgot who had the issue. I think it was Thomas or who has a potential issue with the from routine. And the two I redacted, okay? Two I redacted, it will be, in fact, two is also array. Whenever you have an array, you actually need this kind of structure. And then you have another section is created time and time. I'm using this my time routine, JV time, to do that. Get time string to do that. Just the same, almost the same. Just one is created time, one is update time, and it's published. It's very simple. It's just a Boolean variable. And then with my debugging statement, and that's it. That's everything I have in my
Is
post.cpp.
postredacted.cpp on the website?
No, I haven't. I
No?
haven't
Okay.
done that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put it there. I'll put it. Let me just put it there. Might be easier. Okay, let me just check. Okay, it's up. It's up there already. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, I mean, since we're on this, by the way, is that okay for you to understand what is Post.cpp? I mean, you have some idea, right? How what it's like.
Yes.
Okay, all right, all right. If you have any questions, just let me know. I do want to tell you something about the. Some of you might already figure out what we're doing here, but if you've done this correctly, let me actually pull out my slide. Okay, so I emphasize a lot on the dump.j stuff. Okay, so you basically reproduce from this class, you can get base input JSON, right? And the interesting part about this perspective is what I'm emphasizing is how do you go back and forth between these two worlds. It's the JSON world and C++ world. And so you have your C++ object, and then you have your JSON object. They're equivalent. I don't know if you notice that they're equivalent. Means that sorry, can you hear me? It seems to the internet is just crashed. Let me just check. Okay, thank you, Alexandria. Okay, so so what I was saying that this homework is make sure that these two sides are going to be equivalent. You can have a two-way street. So which means that you gave me a JSON, I will be able to produce C++ object. And you gave me a set of C++ object, I will be able to give you the JSON. So this two-way street are actually exactly the same information. So this is actually a very important way for you to think about a concept called persistent object. So what is a persistent object? So currently, all the program you have done and a lot of work that people are doing, they're not doing persistent object. They're doing what they call transient object. Transient object means that it's in your memory. And, oh, wait a minute. I will pronounce transient object, sorry. So it means that it's temporary. Means that when you finish your program, or the program is down, then the object were gone. So essentially, you have to reconstruct the information, or you have to store the information and load it back in order to do that. This is a great interest for distributed system. how do you make the object, and when you do object-oriented programming, to make it persistent. So now I'm actually giving a way that you can implement persistent object with your homework assignment number 5. Because what you have is that you're writing your C++ program that as long as you have the dumpj done correctly, before you quit your program, you can just dumpj every single object that in your C++ program. And when you produce that dumpj, you actually produce in a string format and save in each of the file. So essentially, you have a lots of whatever base update or reaction X. You basically can create a lot of file, a lot of JSON file. So you essentially make the program, make your object permanently exist on your hard disk or on somewhere in the cloud storage. So next time, when you want to continue your execution, what you can do is that you basically just reload all your JSON and using your homework assignment number 5 and put it in to your program itself. But now remember that your JSON store what was your last state of your data for each of the object, and you just reload it in, and then basically you will have your object, then you can continue your execution. So the thing is that now your program and your data to be permanent and persistent, you can continue. And the thing is that if you can accomplish this, you can start saying that, okay, now I can write program that was a concept of persistent object. So I just want to go over a little bit is the persistent object plus shadow object is even more interesting, because now my object is actually in the hard disk. It's not in any of the server. So what you did is that when I want to access the object is a shadow object, I go to one of the server, the URL that has that JSON store somewhere. And that server on the fly is going to pull in that JSON and construct that object, and then reply. If that object no longer exists in the memory, then they can actually do that to respond to the requests that we talk about for the remote shadow object. And how do you actually trigger that? You can use exceptional handling, which is the lecture 11, is that you realize that this pointer doesn't exist. It's a null. It doesn't exist. How do I handle that? Don't worry, I'm using homework assignment number 5 to bring that JSON alive, and then I can continue to do my program. So there is a lot of interesting application for what you're building right now, just let you know. It make your the scope as a programmer more systematic. Okay. All right, any other question? It seems to me I lost all my comments. Okay, while you're thinking about your next question, I want to check out my video. One second, do I finish my video? Oh yeah, I finished. The video is done. Okay, just let you know, my lecture 11's finally passed everything in on YouTube now. Okay. So now you can actually have it. Just want to let you know. I'm going to kill it. Why no, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to talk about data in array in the PowerPoint. Okay, I will talk about that. Callie is asking that question. This will be Aldo. This recording will be uploaded in an hour. Right now for this Zoom, for some reason, is very small. The file size is very small. I upload it very easily. But for my regular lecture, because I probably use a higher resolution, it took years, not years. I mean, each video is about almost 10 gigabyte. I just realized that that's horrible. So I'm going to answer Kelly's question. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. I assume you can see my screen. I'm going to first review the concept about JSON, okay? And then I'm going to the convention about Facebook. Okay, so this is first I have to talk about the concept of array. This is in slide number 5. So an array is, you can think about array is also a key value pair. By the way, in JSON, everything is a key value pair. So an array also have a two. You can have a key. I have to do this part. Hold on. This is the key, which I use the green color. This is a key. Seriously? Okay. And this part between the red is the array. So let me actually tell you, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a color which is colorful. Okay, I hope you can see me here. Here's an array. The concept of array in JSON is that it has a key and then colon, of course, has a key and colon. And after the colon, you will see a pair of bracket. And inside here is what we call the array elements. Okay, so let me actually just copy this part to another slide. So now I have this one here. I have here. I get rid of this. Can I make this a little bit bigger? Okay, so this is an array in JSON. So you can see that this key is essentially the name of the array, the JSON array. And then inside here, I have a bracket, and then I have element number 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, how many elements you have, okay? So that's a JSON's notation of the array. Okay, so this is, I will call it a JSON notation. But however, this one is not necessarily enough because, for example, for a lot of this kind of vector processing, we need to support the concept of size. We need to support the concept of how many elements that you have. So we typically, now I'm going to make a copy. And we typically has a different type of array, but let me actually tell you that this, I will just call a Facebook API array. This is the way that Facebook API using JSON in this particular way. So the way they do it is that an array really has, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger now. That array has a name of the array. And inside the name of the array, I would say name of the array. And then inside here, I'm actually having a bracket. Inside here, of course, I have another bracket here, and then a bracket here. Okay, so by the way, this bracket, I'm going to use a different color because it's matching. I just want to tell you which one match what. Let me use purple. This one match with this one. Okay, so this is the name of the array. But inside here, I'm going to have a 2 element. So one element inside this purple bracket, I have a 2 element. The first element is the array I just showed you, but the other element is what I call count. What happened here? I don't like this count. And with a size of the array as an integer. Okay, and that's the new. Oh, sorry, I have to put another bracket. Okay, so now for the array in the Facebook API and many other industrial realization, it basically you have this format. So I take that array, but I add it with some other information, and furthermore, I change this key to be standard to call it data. Okay, so this is the array. Let me actually make it a little bit more style. Has this structure looks like this. Okay. So this is the way that the array is used in this homework assignment and also in the JSON, because you need to process this JSON here.
So basically, it's just an array containing the other array.
Exactly. It's well, but there is really only one JSON array. Is this between this bracket? Here I only have I actually only have the same number of bracket, but it has like an object, right? It has a 2 variable. One is called data. One is called count. Yeah, and let me just do this just to clarify. I think Kelly, you're right. I just want to make sure that I match exactly our homework. So we were talking about reaction, right, earlier. So this one is reactions. And this count is only 1, which means that the data only have a 1 element here. So here I have a 1, 2, 3. Let me just put it. This should be array index. Oh, okay, fine. That's fine. Is that helpful, Kelly?
Oh, yes. Oh, can you tell me where's the 1 comes from?
Where's a 1? 1
Yeah.
means how many elements. So 1,
Oh.
this is the size of the array. So how many element you have in the array, that means what should be the count. Is the conventions use the word count, but it's really the size of the array.
Oh, so it's the size of the JSON array data.
Exactly.
Okay.
So for example, let's do this BBB parse again. Okay. If you look at this parse, right? So comments has data have this bracket, right? But the count is 1 means that they only have a 1 element.
Oh.
They only have a 1 element. Okay. But let me actually tell you something which is more interesting. Let me parse it, the original one again. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Oh, yes, I can.
Okay, good. Okay, so let's take a look at the BBB parse. For example, the action. The action is also an array. So the data is here, and then between these 2 brackets, right? And then I have a count is equal to 2, so it means 2 elements. The first element is from here to here, and separated by a comma. And then this is my second element. You see that the count represents how many elements or objects that you have between this bracket.
So is it the action array?
Yes, it is action array.
But it is not a JSON array.
Well, it is a JSON array. So it is, everything here is a JSON array, because the definition of a JSON array is really just the bracket. The bracket is a JSON array. Okay, it shows that this is a JSON array. But the thing is that in the JSON array, the key could be, you could have anything you want. You can name it array, you can name it apple, you can name it whatever you want. But the thing is that this is the I call the Facebook API's convention of JSON array. Okay, they're both, but it's just different convention. And inside the Facebook API's JSON array, that the array has to have the key. I'm not going to call it data. The key in front of this pair of bracket in the red, the key is always data, and the count is always the number of elements.
Oh, my question is like, for the reaction, it doesn't have the bracket.
Reactions or reaction?
Reactions.
Reactions must have a bracket. So let's take a look at this. So now you see I have a reactions here. I have a two place, I have a reactions. This is the first place of reactions, right?
Yes.
Reactions is a C++, sorry, is a Facebook API convention. So it has counts, have a data.
Mm-hmm.
Data has array.
Mm-hmm.
So reaction, if you think about the way you look at reaction, you replace this reaction with action or links. The structure is all the same, always have a count and data.
Because I just saw like for the reactions, there's only a curly bracket. It's not a like bracket.
Well, the thing is that it is, but it's in one side inside. You see that this reaction has curly bracket of the purple,
Yeah.
right? So, but inside there will be the first element, which is the data. Is the real array is in the data, the key.
So the reaction is still a array.
It's just array, but it's a wrap around, right? I wrap around the standard interface with two key value. One's data, one's count. Because original one, I don't have the count. But here I kind of provide one extra variable just for me to handle the size more, I would say easier.
Because I understand you say like the JSON array has the bracket. So the
Yes,
data and its element is like key value pairs.
I do want to mention that there is a difference between the strict meaning about what is JSON's syntax or semantics about array versus the convention for me to implement a more enhanced version of array. So I would use this as a analogy. Is the JSON array will be similar to like a C array. For example, if you treat JSON as a C array, then essentially the convention that Facebook has is like a C++ vector. Okay, so vector and array internally they're exactly the same, but externally they actually add more information. So it's more like object-oriented style. That's what we call the C++ vector. So that the difference between these two are just the convention and just adding something more.
But it is still the array, just like different convention.
Right, exactly. They're internally there. Basically, this is just a special case of this one, but this is the generic array.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Okay. Any other question? Okay, so I think I'm going to end the session, and then I will try to upload the video immediately so people can work on this. Okay, and if you have some question, just let me know. We can communicate offline. All right. Thank you. All right. You take care, everybody.